The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Alliance headquarters fell silent as Admiral Elena Vega, Earth's chief representative, stood defiantly before the Council of Nine. The tension in the air was palpable, crackling like static electricity between the assembled delegates of 100 alien races. "You accuse us of aggression." Elena's voice rang out, her steel-gray eyes sweeping across the semicircle of towering alien figures. "We defended a colony world from pirates. How does that justify our expulsion?" High Counselor Xandrath, a being of shimmering light encased in an ornate exosuit, leaned forward. "Your defense obliterated half a solar system. Admiral, humanity's penchant for disproportionate force can no longer be tolerated." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Elena clenched her fists, acutely aware of the broadcast cameras hovering silently around them. Billions across the galaxy were watching this farce of a trial. "We had no choice," Elena retorted. "The Kratzor pirates were using a stellar extinguisher. If we hadn't acted—" "Enough!" Xandrath's voice boomed, silencing her. "The decision is made. Humanity is hereby exiled from Alliance space. You have 72 hours to evacuate your citizens from all non-Earth territories." The words hit Elena like a physical blow. Exile. 72 hours to uproot millions of lives. It was impossible, and they knew it. As the council rose to leave, Elena's comm link chirped urgently. She glanced down, her blood running cold at the message from Captain Sarah Chen of the HSS Defiant. "Ambush in orbit. Alliance ships firing on evac transports. Request immediate assistance." Elena's head snapped up, rage burning in her eyes. "You treacherous bastards," she snarled, causing several counselors to flinch back. "You're attacking civilians even as we speak." Xandrath's luminous form flickered in what might have been surprise, or feigned innocence. "I assure you, Admiral, we have issued no such." But Elena was already moving, barking orders into her comm. "This is Admiral Vega. All human ships, execute Protocol Omega. I repeat, Protocol Omega is in effect." Chaos erupted in the chamber as alarms blared. Through the panoramic windows, flashes of weapons fire could be seen in the planet's orbit. The HSS Defiant, Earth's most advanced battleship, was engaged in a furious battle against a swarm of Alliance vessels. "You've made a grave mistake," Elena said, her voice low and dangerous, as she faced the Council one last time. "Humanity extended the hand of friendship, and you spat on it. Remember this moment, because I promise you, we'll be back." With that, Elena and her staff sprinted for the emergency teleporters. Security forces converged, but they were too late. In a shimmer of blue light, the humans vanished. Aboard the Defiant, klaxons wailed as the ship shuddered under enemy fire. Captain Sarah Chen stood resolute on the bridge, her young face set in grim determination. "Status report," she barked. Her XO, Commander Ravi Malik, responded crisply. "Shields at 62%. We've cleared a path for the civilian transports, but we're taking heavy fire." Sarah nodded, studying the tactical display. They were outnumbered 10-1, but the Defiant was more than living up to its name. "Mom," the comms officer called out. "Incoming transmission from Admiral Vega. She's ordering a full retreat. Protocol Omega is in effect." A hush fell over the bridge. Protocol Omega. The contingency they had all hoped would never be necessary. Abandonment of all human territories outside the Sol system. A complete severing of ties with the Galactic Alliance. Sarah took a deep breath, squaring her shoulders. "Plot a course for the Arcturus Gate. We're going home." As the Defiant unleashed a final barrage to cover the retreat of Earth's refugees, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of sorrow and simmering anger. This wasn't over. Somehow, someday, humanity would return, and the galaxy would learn the true meaning of never piss off a human. The great engines of the Defiant flared to life, and Earth's last battleship vanished into the swirling depths of hyperspace, leaving behind a galaxy that had yet to realize the terrible mistake it had just made. 5 years into humanity's exile, The gleaming towers of New Jakarta stood as a testament to human resilience. But beneath the facade of progress, Earth was struggling. Dr. Aiden Cho knew this better than most as he stared at the holographic display in his lab, watching another simulation fail. "Damn it," he muttered, running a hand through his disheveled hair. The quantum fuel reserves were depleting faster than anyone had anticipated. Without access to the rare elements found only in Alliance space, Earth's fleet would be grounded within a decade. A soft chime announced the arrival of Admiral Vega. "Please tell me you have good news, Doctor," she said, her once black hair now streaked with gray. Aiden sighed. "I wish I did, Admiral, but we're running out of options." Alina's expression hardened. "We don't have the luxury of failure, Aiden. Without a breakthrough, we're sitting ducks out here." As if to emphasize her point, the lab's windows flickered, replaced by a view of Earth's orbital defense grid. Hundreds of satellites and automated weapons platforms stood vigilant, humanity's last line of defense against a galaxy that had turned its back on them. Aiden nodded grimly. "I know, but we've tried everything. Antimatter, zero-point energy, even tapping into pocket universes. Nothing's viable for large scale." He trailed off, his eyes widening as he stared at the holographic model of a failed reactor. "Wait, what if we're thinking too small?" Alina raised an eyebrow. "Explain." Aiden's fingers flew over the console, adjusting variables. "We've been trying to recreate Alliance tech, but what if we leap beyond it? Computer, run simulation Alpha 7, but replace the quantum matrix with a dark matter lattice." The AI's smooth voice responded. "Warning. Theoretical physics breach. Simulation may produce unreliable results." "Do it anyway," Aiden commanded. The hologram shifted, showing a new reactor design. As the simulation ran, energy outputs skyrocketed off the charts. Alina leaned in, her eyes wide. "Is this accurate?" Aiden laughed, a manic edge to his voice. "If it is, we've just solved our energy crisis and revolutionized propulsion in one stroke. We need to test this immediately." 12 hours later, Aiden stood in a reinforced bunker deep beneath the Pacific Ocean. Before him, a prototype reactor hummed to life, its core a swirling vortex of impossibly dark energy. "Dark matter tap is stable," reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka, Aiden's second-in-command. "Power output is, my God, it's beyond anything we've ever seen." Aiden grinned. Humanity just got back in the game. Within weeks, the HSS Defiant was retrofitted with the revolutionary dark matter drive. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, older and more seasoned, but with the same fire in her eyes. "All systems green, Captain," reported Commander Malik. "Dark matter core is nominal. We're ready for the test run." Sarah nodded. "Take us out, Helm. Let's see what this ship can really do." The Defiant rose smoothly from its dry dock, accelerating with impossible speed. As they breached the atmosphere, Sarah felt a weight lift from her shoulders. For the first time in years, humanity had hope. But their elation was short-lived. As the Defiant approached the outer edges of the solar system, proximity alarms blared. "Captain," the sensor officer called out, "we're detecting a massive energy signature at the edge of the Oort cloud. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Sarah's blood ran cold as the main viewer activated, showing a roiling mass of darkness that seemed to devour the very stars around it. "Battle stations," she ordered, her voice steady despite the fear gripping her heart. "And get me Admiral Vega. I think our exile just became the least of our problems." As the crew scrambled to action, Sarah couldn't help but wonder. Had humanity's resurgence come too late, or had it arrived just in time to face a threat beyond imagination? The HSS Pathfinder, Earth's most advanced scout ship, drifted silently at the fringes of the Oort cloud. Lieutenant Commander Zora Khoury peered intently at the sensor readouts, her brow furrowed in concentration. "Anything, LC?" Captain Darius Reed's voice crackled over the comm. Zara shook her head, though her superior couldn't see it. "Nothing yet, sir. Wait." Her eyes widened as the sensors lit up like a Christmas tree. "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy surge. It's off the charts." Before Darius could respond, a blinding flash illuminated the bridge view screen. Where empty space had been moments before, a colossal tear in the fabric of reality now yawned open, its edges writhing with tendrils of dark energy. "Evasive maneuvers," Zara shouted, but it was too late. A wave of otherworldly energy washed over the Pathfinder, shorting out systems and sending the crew reeling. As Zara struggled to regain control, she saw something emerge from the rift. A vast, undulating mass of shadow and light, somehow both there and not there at the same time. "What in God's name is that?" Darius whispered, his face pale on the flickering view screen. Before Zara could answer, the entity pulsed, and a beam of pure darkness lanced out, striking the nearby comet. In an instant, the icy body was consumed, leaving nothing behind but empty space. "It's feeding," Zara realized with horror. "Captain, we need to warn Earth. Now." But as the Pathfinder turned to flee, more rifts began to open. Dozens, then hundreds of the energy beings poured through, their hunger insatiable. Across the galaxy, on the glittering capital world of the Galactic Alliance, High Counselor Xandrath received the first distress calls. "Counselor, we're receiving reports of attacks on our outer colonies," his aide, Vexilor, reported urgently. "Entire systems are going dark." Xandrath's luminous form flickered with concern. "Show me." A holographic map of Alliance space materialized, dotted with red warning indicators that were spreading at an alarming rate. "What are we facing?" Xandrath demanded. Vexilor's voice trembled. "Unknown, sir. Our weapons seem ineffective. The Krell Defense Force engaged them in the Lyra sector." But he paused, swallowing hard. Their entire fleet was annihilated in minutes. Xandrath felt a chill run through his energy core. "Alert all Alliance worlds. Mobilize every ship we have. We must." He was cut off as the chamber shook violently. Outside, the sky was split by a massive rift, dark tendrils reaching down towards the planet's surface. "They're here," Xandrath whispered. Back on Earth, Admiral Elena Vega stood before the United Earth Council, her face grim as she delivered the news. "The Pathfinder managed to transmit a partial data burst before we lost contact," she reported. "This new enemy, which the crew designated as the Void Collective, appears to be a race of energy beings capable of consuming matter and energy on a stellar scale." Counselor Amelia Chen, once captain of the Defiant, leaned forward. "What about the Alliance? Surely they're facing this threat too." Elena nodded. "We've intercepted fragmented transmissions. It appears the Alliance is under full-scale invasion. Multiple core worlds have already fallen." A heavy silence fell over the chamber. "They abandoned us," Counselor Yusuf Rashid growled. "Left us to die out here. Why should we care about their fate?" Elena's eyes flashed. "Because if the Alliance falls, we're next. And like it or not, we might be the galaxy's last hope." As if to punctuate her words, emergency klaxons began to blare. A young officer burst into the chamber, his face ashen. "Admiral, we're detecting multiple rifts opening in the Kuiper Belt. The Void Collective. They're here." Elena straightened, her voice steady as she gave the order that would change the course of human history. "Initiate Operation Lazarus. It's time for the Defiant to rise again." Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the HSS Defiant, her eyes fixed on the swirling vortex of the dark matter drive. The ship hummed with power, 5 years of upgrades and retrofits transforming it into something beyond even the most advanced Alliance vessels. "Status report," she commanded, her voice calm despite the tension thrumming through the crew. Commander Ravi Malik, his beard now streaked with gray, responded crisply. "All systems nominal, Captain. Dark matter core is stable, and ARIA is fully integrated into our systems." As if summoned, the ship's AI materialized as a holographic projection, Araya's avatar, a shimmering network of blue light, spoke in a melodious voice. Captain, I'm detecting a faint transmission on an old Alliance emergency frequency. It appears to be a distress call. Sarah's eyebrows rose. Put it through, Araya. A garbled voice crackled over the speakers, barely audible through the static. This is Zarak. 7th Fleet. Under attack. Overwhelming force. Any ships in range. Please assist. The bridge fell silent as the message looped. Sarah recognized that name. Zarak had been a young Alliance officer, one of the few who had treated humans with respect during the exile. Araya, can you trace the signal? Sarah asked. Affirmative, Captain. The transmission originates from the Arcturus system, approximately 36.7 light-years from our current position. Sarah's jaw tightened. Arcturus, the site of humanity's last stand against the Alliance before their exile. The irony wasn't lost on her. What do you think, Ravi? She asked, turning to her XO. Malik frowned. It's clearly a trap, Captain. Even if the distress call is genuine, we'd be flying into the heart of Alliance space. They'd execute us on sight. Unless they're too busy being slaughtered by the Void Collective. Lieutenant Kira Yoshida, the tactical officer, chimed in. Sarah nodded, weighing their options. Araya, what's your assessment? The AI's avatar pulsed thoughtfully. Based on intercepted transmissions and the spread pattern of Void Collective attacks, there's an 87.3% probability that the Arcturus system is indeed under assault. However, the risk to this vessel and crew cannot be overstated. Sarah closed her eyes, memories of the exile flooding back. The betrayal, the loss, the years of struggle. But then she remembered Zarek's face, young, idealistic, apologetic, as he watched humans being forced from their homes. Her eyes snapped open. Plot a course for Arcturus, maximum speed. Araya, send a message to Admiral Vega. Let her know we're answering the call. As the crew scrambled to action, Malik stepped closer. Sarah, he said quietly, are you sure about this? After everything they did to us. Sarah met his gaze steadily. We're better than them, Ravi. We always have been. That's why we'll save them, even if they don't deserve it. The Defiant surged forward, its dark matter drive tearing a hole through space-time. In moments, they crossed distances that would have taken old Alliance ships weeks to traverse. They dropped out of FTL on the edge of the Arcturus system, and Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The scene before them was apocalyptic. Shattered ships drifted lifelessly, and the nearby planets were scared with impact craters visible even from orbit. And there, in the center of it all, was a swarm of Void Collective entities, their dark tendrils reaching out to consume a battered Alliance dreadnought. Battle stations, Sarah ordered, her voice iron. Charge the Thanatos cannon. Let's show these cosmic horrors what humanity can do. As the Defiant's weapons powered up, Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. Humanity's exile was over. Their return would be written in fire across the stars. The HS Defiant hung in space above Arcturus Prime, the Alliance capital world, like a sword of Damocles. The ship's dark matter shields shimmered, deflecting debris from the battle that had raged mere hours before. On the planet's surface, the gleaming spires of the Alliance Council chambers stood in stark contrast to the devastation surrounding them. Captain Sarah Chen materialized in the central plaza, flanked by Commander Malik and Lieutenant Yoshida. The teleportation technology, yet another breakthrough born of humanity's isolation, left no trace of their arrival save for a faint ripple in the air. A contingent of Alliance security forces immediately surrounded them, weapons drawn. At their head stood a familiar face. Zarak, older now, his purple scales dulled with stress, and his left arm replaced by a cybernetic prosthetic. Stand down, Zarak ordered his troops, though tension remained etched in every line of his face. Captain Chen, we didn't expect you to actually come. Sarah's lips quirked in a humorless smile. Honestly, neither did we. Before Zarak could respond, a booming voice echoed across the plaza. "What is the meaning of this?" High Counselor Exandrath glided towards them, his luminous form pulsing with barely contained fury. "How dare you violate our space, human? Your kind was exiled." Sarah stood her ground as the imposing figure loomed over her. "We received a distress call. Last I checked, ignoring those was your specialty, not ours." A ripple of murmurs swept through the gathered crowd. Xandrath's glow intensified, but before he could retort, Zarak stepped between them. "High Counselor, please. Captain Chen and her crew just saved what was left of our fleet. Without them, Arcturus Prime would have fallen." Xandrath's light dimmed slightly. "Be that as it may, they have no authority here. I demand they be taken into custody immediately." "I wouldn't recommend that," Sarah said coolly, tapping her wrist communicator. Above them, the Defiance weapons arrays hummed to life, targeting the council chambers. "We came to help, not to conquer, but we won't be made prisoners again." The standoff stretched for what felt like eternity, broken only when a new voice cut through the tension. "That's enough, Vandrath." All eyes turned to see an elderly Trilaxian approach, his tentacles moving gracefully despite his apparent age. Sarah recognized him immediately. Vorkon, the Alliance's most respected xenoanthropologist and a longtime advocate for human rights. Vorkon's multifaceted eyes studied Sarah intently. "Captain Chen, on behalf of those of us who opposed your species' exile, I welcome you back, and I humbly request your continued assistance." Xandrath's form flickered in outrage. "You overstep your authority, Vorkon. The Council has not." "The Council," Vorkon interrupted, "is in no position to turn away help. Not with half our worlds already lost to the Void Collective." He turned back to Sarah. "Captain, I propose a temporary accord. In exchange for your aid against this threat, all charges against humanity will be suspended, and negotiations for your full reinstatement to the Alliance will begin immediately." Sarah exchanged glances with her officers. It was more than they dared hope for, but the wounds of exile ran deep. "I'll need to consult with my superiors," she said carefully. "But speaking for my crew, we're willing to fight alongside you." Vorkon's tentacles rippled in what Sarah recognized as a smile. "Then let us waste no time. The fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance, and I, for one, am grateful to have humanity standing with us once more." As the impromptu council dispersed to prepare for war, Sarah caught Zarak's eye. The young officer nodded, a mix of gratitude and shame in his gaze. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. And for now, with the Void Collective bearing down on them, it would have to be enough. The war room aboard the Defiant buzzed with activity as holographic displays flickered with real-time battle data from across the galaxy. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center, her eyes darting between the tactical readouts and the assembled team of human and Alliance strategists. "The Void Collective is adapting to our conventional tactics faster than we can develop new ones," Sarah stated, her voice tinged with frustration. "We need something they can't predict." Zarak, now serving as liaison between human and Alliance forces, nodded grimly. "Our psychic operatives have tried to probe their consciousness, but it's like staring into an abyss. They're unlike anything we've encountered." As if on cue, Ari's avatar materialized above the central console. "Captain, I've completed my analysis of the Void Collective's attack patterns. There's a 99.7% probability that they operate on a hive mind structure, but with localized nodes controlling each cluster." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Could we disrupt those nodes?" "Potentially," Aria replied, "but it would require direct interface with their energy matrix. The risk of mental corruption would be extreme." A heavy silence fell over the room, broken by an unexpected voice. "I'll do it." All eyes turned to Lieutenant Kira Yoshida, the Defiance young tactical officer. Her face was set with determination. "Kira, no," Sarah began, but the lieutenant cut her off. "With all due respect, Captain, I'm the best candidate." My neural implants are the most advanced, and I've scored highest in psych resilience tests. Before Sarah could argue further, Zarak interjected. She's right, and I'll go with her. My cybernetic arm can be modified to interface with Void Tech. We'll watch each other's backs. Sarah looked between them, seeing the resolve in their eyes. It was a suicide mission, and they all knew it, but it might be their only shot. All right, she conceded, but we do this smart. Work with Alliance Text to modify Zarak's arm. I want every failsafe and firewall you can think of. As preparations began, Sarah pulled Kira aside. Are you sure about this? Kira's smile was small but genuine. You taught me that sometimes you have to take the big risks to win the day, Captain. I'm just following your example. Hours later, a stealth shuttle slipped away from the Defiant, carrying Kira and Zarak towards the heart of a Void Collective cluster. The plan was audacious. Penetrate the energy field, locate a control node, and unleash a cybernetic virus designed to cascade through the hive mind. Back on the Defiant, Sarah watched the mission unfold through Kira's body cam. The footage was chaotic. Flashes of otherworldly energy, glimpses of structures that seemed to defy physics. We're approaching the node. Kira's voice crackled over the comm. Zarak, are you ready? The alien officer's reply was steady. Initiating interface. Now. What followed was a nightmarish ballet of light and shadow. Kira's screams mingled with Zarak's as their minds grappled with the alien consciousness. On the Defiant, alarms blared as ARIA reported anomalies in the ship's systems. The psychic backlash was somehow bleeding through their connection. Sever the link, Sarah ordered, her heart in her throat. Negative, Kira gasped. Almost. There. With a final, reality-bending shriek, the node collapsed. Across the battlefield, void entities began to writhe and dissolve, their hive mind shattered. In the sudden silence, Sarah's voice shook as she called out, Kira. Zarak, do you copy? For a long moment, there was no response. Then, faintly, we're alive, Captain. But I don't think either of us will ever be the same. As the med team scrambled and the crew cheered, Sarah allowed herself a moment of hope. They had found a weakness. Now they just had to exploit it before the Void Collective recovered, or before the cost became too high to bear. The HSS Defiant erupted from hyperspace, its dark matter drive leaving a wake of distorted reality. Captain Sarah Chen's knuckles were white as she gripped the command chair, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. Earth hung before them, a blue marble wrapped in a gleaming web of orbital defenses. But surrounding the planet was a sight that chilled Sarah to her core, a vast armada of Void Collective entities, their writhing forms blotting out the stars. Status report. Sarah barked. Commander Malik's voice was tense. Earth's defenses are holding, but barely. The Void Collective is probing for weaknesses. They've already breached the outer perimeter in 3 sectors. Lieutenant Yoshida, her eyes now with an otherworldly gleam since her encounter with the Void, spoke up. Captain, I'm sensing purpose from them. This isn't just an attack. It's extermination. Sarah nodded grimly. Their victory at Arcturus had made humanity the Collective's primary target. ARI, battle analysis. The AI's hologram flickered to life, its usual smooth tones laced with urgency. Earth's forces are outnumbered 50-1. Conventional tactics will result in total defeat within 6.4 hours. However, I've detected a vulnerability. The Collective's forces are coordinated by a central node, likely housed in their largest entity. Sarah leaned forward. Can we reach it? Negative, Araya replied. Our shields won't withstand their energy field long enough to get close. A moment of heavy silence fell over the bridge, broken by an incoming transmission. Admiral Elena Vega's weathered face appeared on screen, her expression a mixture of relief and grim determination. Glad you could make it to the party, Captain, Elena said. Please tell me you've got a miracle up your sleeve. Sarah's mind raced. piecing together a plan that was equal parts brilliant and insane. Maybe, but I'll need every ship we've got, and I mean everything, from our most advanced battle cruisers to tugboats with pop guns. Alina's eyebrow raised. That desperate, huh? All right, you've got it. What's the plan? We're going to give them indigestion, Sarah replied, a fierce grin spreading across her face. The next hour was a blur of frantic preparation. Every ship in Earth's arsenal was fitted with a miniaturized dark matter drive and a payload of their deadliest weapons. The plan was audacious. Use the smaller ships as a massive swarm to overwhelm the collective's defenses, creating a path for the Defiant to reach the central node. As the fleet assembled, Sarah stood before her crew. I won't lie to you. This mission is likely one way. But everything we've fought for, everything we've built since our exile, comes down to this moment. We didn't come this far to watch our home burn. The crew's response was a chorus of determined cheers. The battle that followed would be etched into the annals of galactic history. Earth's fleet darted and weaved through the void armada, each ship a tiny spark of defiance against the cosmic darkness. Casualties were catastrophic, but for every human ship lost, a hole was punched in the collective's defenses. On the Defiance bridge, klaxons wailed as the ship pushed through an onslaught of void energy. Shields critical. Malik shouted over the din. We can't take much more of this. Sarah's eyes were locked on the tactical display, watching as their fleet's sacrifice carved a narrow path to their target. Divert all power to engines. We're going in. The Defiant surged forward, its hull groaning under the strain. As they penetrated the energy field of the central void entity, reality itself seemed to warp around them. All hands, braced for impact, Sarah commanded, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her gut. Let's show these cosmic horrors what humanity is made of. With a reality-shattering crash, the Defiant plunged into the heart of the void. The HSS Defiant emerged from the collapsing form of the Void Collective's central node, its hull scared and sparking. Inside, the bridge was a chaos of blaring alarms and flickering lights. Captain Sarah Chen pulled herself up from the floor, blood trickling from a gash on her forehead. Status report, she croaked, her voice hoarse from shouting orders during their desperate plunge. Commander Malik staggered to his console. Shields are down, weapons offline. Life support is holding, but that's about it. He paused, his eyes widening as he looked at the main view screen. Captain, you need to see this. Sarah turned, her breath catching in her throat. Where the vast void armada had been, there was now only dissipating energy and drifting debris. Earth shone bright and untouched against the starfield. We did it, Sarah whispered, disbelief giving way to elation. Aria. Confirm Void Collective status. The AI's avatar flickered weakly. Scans indicate complete dissolution of all void entities in the Sol system. Similar reports are coming in from across the galaxy. Captain, we've won. A ragged cheer went up from the battered crew, but it was cut short as a new transmission came through. The face of High Counselor Xandrath appeared on screen, his luminous form dimmed with what might have been humility. Captain Chen, he began, his tone formal but lacking its usual arrogance. On behalf of the Galactic Alliance, I extend our deepest gratitude. Your actions have saved not just Earth, but countless worlds across the galaxy. Sarah straightened, her chin lifting. We didn't do it for your gratitude, Counselor. We did it because it was right. Xandrath's form flickered in what might have been a nod. Nevertheless, the debt we owe humanity cannot be overstated. The exile was a mistake, one we intend to rectify immediately. As if on cue, a fleet of Alliance ships dropped out of hyperspace around the Defiant. But instead of weapons, they extended repair drones and tractor beams, gently guiding the battered ship towards Earth. Months passed in a whirlwind of recovery efforts and diplomacy. The Defiant, once a symbol of humanity's isolation, became an icon of galactic unity. Its dark matter drive and Aria's advanced AI were shared with the Alliance, ushering in a new era of technological advancement. On a crisp autumn day, Sarah stood before the newly reconstructed Galactic Alliance headquarters in Geneva. Admiral Vega, now Earth's representative to the Alliance Council, stepped forward to address the assembled dignitaries from 100 worlds. Today, we not only celebrate victory over an existential threat, Elena began, her voice carrying across the hushed crowd. We also recognize the resilience of the human spirit and the power of redemption. She turned to Sarah, a proud smile on her face. Captain Sarah Chen, in recognition of your exemplary leadership and sacrifice, you are hereby promoted to the rank of Admiral. Furthermore, you will serve as the first human commander of the newly formed Galactic Defense Fleet. As Sarah accepted the new insignia to thunderous applause, she caught sight of familiar faces in the crowd. Zarak, his cybernetic arm now a badge of honor. Kira Yoshida, her eyes still carrying an otherworldly gleam, but filled with pride. And countless others, human and alien alike, who had fought alongside her. Sarah stepped to the podium, surveying the diverse gathering before her. The path that brought us here was long and fraught with hardship, she began. But it proved that even in our darkest hour, hope endures. We faced exile, invasion, and the void itself. And we emerged stronger, not just as humans, but as a united galaxy. As cheers erupted once more, Sarah allowed herself a moment of reflection. The HSS Defiant had lived up to its name, defying exile, defying the odds, and ultimately, defying the very forces that threatened to tear the galaxy apart. In its journey, it had forged a new destiny, not just for humanity, but for all sentient life. The future, at last, looked bright.